Hi. In this video, we're going to cover the basic functionality of the survey portion of the iOS Survey HD application. So what we've done up to this point, we've gone ahead and gotten all of our basic information into the application. We've also populated our origin and address information fields so that it's pulling up the appropriate mileage for us to price. Now, the only thing that we need to do is go in and perform a survey to develop what our weight is. In order to go into the survey application or the survey portion of the application, you're going to want to hit the button in the upper right-hand side where it says survey. By touching that, the screen's going to change. You're going to go from the detail screen over to the survey field. Now this field is divided really into three separate sections. You have a rooms column on the left, you'll have available items on the right-hand side, and then as you're surveying items, it's going to populate that middle section there. So the first thing that we're going to need to do is to go ahead and select a room to survey for. I do that by hitting the plus sign next to rooms. Doing so pulls up a preordained room list for us to select from. Now you have the ability on the fly to add new rooms into this list. All I have to do is hit the plus sign next to add a room here to add a new room, and I can call the room whatever I want. However, the room that you see here, or the room list that you see, is pretty extensive and covers most of the basic rooms that you would find in a home. In order to select a room, all I have to do is touch the screen on the room that I'm going to survey for. I'm going to go ahead and select kitchen, and what it does on the right-hand side is it pulls up an available items list for the kitchen. If you look at the bottom of this available items list, there are 4 blue boxes: room, all, CP, and PBO. Room is a room-specific list, specific for the room that you're in. Once again, this is a preordained list that we've put together. From a best practices standpoint, there's never a perfect list for you ever to use for each room. Being a former surveyor, I've been in dining rooms that have been converted into offices or playrooms for children. So what we find most of our customers doing, and from a best practices standpoint, I would encourage you to use the all list. By switching from room to all, what it's going to do is populate a master list for you to select from. This master list, although it's more extensive, what it's going to do in the long run is prevent you from having to search the room list for an item that may not be in there, switch list to all, and then having to search again. Searching twice is really just inefficient. So by using the all list, you prevent yourself from having to do that. Now, this all list is in alphabetical order. Any of your numeric cartons are at the top, and then you can see it's in alphabetical order here, okay? On the right-hand side of this all list, you see these letters. That is how you're going to navigate efficiently up and down this list. So if I'm in the kitchen, and the first thing that I see is a table, I hit T on that letter bar, and it drops me down into the table section. If I see chairs, I hit C, scroll just a little bit, and I'm in the middle of the chairs section. So that's how you're going to jump up and down this list rather efficiently. The hardest part is probably learning where things are at on the list, and that's just something that comes with using the application. So if the first thing that I see are those 4 chairs in the kitchen, I'm going to select kitchenette chair. All I do is touch the item to select the item and add it to the list. I touch the item once, so it adds 1 chair. If I have 4 chairs, I'm going to touch it 3 more times. So now I've added 4 kitchenette chairs to the list. You can see that that item is in the middle in the surveyed items section. It's listed chair, comma, kitchenette, so the list is laid out with the noun and then the adjective describing it. It lists the cube there, it lists the quantity shipping, and then it also lists the quantity not shipping. So once again, if the next thing that I see is the table, I hit T for table, and I select the kitchenette table from my list. Very easy to do. You're going to navigate yourself up and down that list in that fashion, selecting the items that are shipping. Now, you also have the ability to select items that are not shipping. This available items list that you see here on the right-hand side is time sensitive. So if I go down to water cooler, so I hit W, water cooler is right here. It's a 15 cube item. If I touch and hold my finger on that item for 2 seconds, watch what happens. It adds that item in as not shipping. So as easily as you can add item shipping just by touching the item, by touching and holding on the item for 2 seconds adds it as not shipping. Now, if you have a customer that changes their mind, well, maybe now I'm taking the water cooler. All you have to do is touch that item under the surveyed items list. It pulls up the details of that particular item. From there, where it says not shipping, I can hit the minus sign, and where it says shipping, I can hit the plus sign. So now I've just flip-flopped it. That's also the same way that if you've accidentally added an item and you need to remove it, you would touch the item, you would hit the minus sign next to shipping, bringing the shipping down to 0, and then from there, just touch anywhere outside of the screen. It removes the item from the list. So that's how you're going to add items that are not shipping, remove items that were accidentally added, and then also flip-flop an item if the customer changes their mind on whether it's shipping or not shipping. So I'm going to add a couple of more items here and show you some additional functionality that lives within the survey. So I'm going to get a refrigerator. So I hit R. I'm going to select that 11 cubic foot or greater. And then once I've added that, you have the ability not only to mark shipping and not shipping, but also to change the cube on the fly. So if this refrigerator is a very large refrigerator, larger than 60 cube, I can touch the screen after it's been surveyed, and for this one item in this one room, I can change the cube on it. So from here, I can mark the cube as 70. I can even go into here and make a comment on the item. I can note that it's large, or I can note that the customer is going to disconnect the water line. I can note anything that I want in here, and when you're done, all you have to do, touch anywhere outside the screen. That comment is then saved in the comments section, and the cube for that refrigerator now reads at 70, not 60. Once again, it only changes it for that one item, that one room. You can see over on the right-hand side, my refrigerator is still listed at 60 cube, even though for this item I've changed it. So that's how you're going to go in and make a comment on an item and change the cube. You also have, and let's hypothetically say here, that a customer has barbells. Barbells don't eat up a lot of room. We list them in the list as 0 cube. So what I'm going to do is touch the screen on barbells, and then I'm going to enter in a cube for them. And because they don't eat up a lot of room, I'm going to put in 5 cube. However, the weight for those barbells is significant. For any item that has a cube associated with it, if you're fine with the cube but want to adjust the weight on the item, because you don't like the fact that, 5 times 7 pounds per cubic foot is 35 pounds, when you really have 300 pounds there, you have, once again, the ability to do a weight override. So from here, I can touch the weight field, and then I can punch in whatever weight that I want. And what it will do is it will leave the cube for the barbells at 5, reserving enough truck space for it. However, the weight is going to be reflective of more of the accurate 400 pounds that those barbells are. Now, if I want to make a comment, same principle. I touch the comment screen and I can make a comment on the item. So now my barbells, which are at the top of my surveyed items list, read at 5, and then I have them at 400 pounds. You will see that reflective in the view summary in the upper right. So you can see 8 items, 120 cubic foot, and then 1,200 pounds of stuff in that home so far. So from here, the room summary, this is where you're going to go to change the weight factor. This is your density factor on the shipment. We're always going to default to 7 because that is the industry standard. However, on each shipment, you have the ability to adjust it on the fly however you see fit. It changes it for the entire shipment. By touching the weight factor here, I can roll it to 6.5, or I can roll the density factor to 7.5, or even 8 if I choose to do so. By doing that, the cubic foot stays the same, however the weight is then adjusted down. Now, let's say I'm in the kitchen and I see an item that's not on the list and I need to add a new item. To add a new item to the list, I hit the plus sign here in the upper right next to the available items. From there, where it says new item, I can touch the screen, enter in the item name. So I can enter in anything that I want. I'll put in test in here. I can assign a cube to it, whatever I want. I can assign it to a room. Right now I'm in the kitchen, that's where I see it. However, people have stuff scattered all over the home. Maybe it's not appropriate to assign it to the kitchen. Either way, because you're using the all list to survey, it doesn't matter really what room you assign it to. it will always be in your all list. So from here, I can assign it to a room. We'll assign it to the dining room. And then is it a crate on or off? The only time you want to turn that crate toggle on is if you're adding an item where you'll need to put in crate dimensions for that specific item. Once you're done, touch anywhere outside the item and it adds that item to your list. Not only is it surveyed now, but if I look here under T for test, you can see that that item is listed in my list. From that moment going forward, it's always in your list, not only for this survey, but for any additional surveys that you're going to do in the future. So with that being said, when adding new rooms, when adding new items to your inventory list, make sure they bring value to your list. You don't want to add some oddball stuff that you may not ever survey again. Speaking of, for that oddball stuff, we do give you a selection here. If I hit M for miscellaneous and I scroll down here past my miscellaneous crates, you'll see where I have miscellaneous 10, 100, 15, 20, 25, so on and so forth. These are all miscellaneous items. So if you run across a goofy piece that you don't want to add to your list because you don't want to litter your list up with this stuff, but you do want to add the item, just add it based on the appropriate cube here, go into the item, go to the comments section, and then describe what that item is for the driver. So in here I can put test as the description for the item. Now that node is then associated with that miscellaneous 25 on the inventory list. So it's no longer a guessing game. That may be a more efficient way to handle it instead of just throwing everything that you see that's not in the list into the list. Also, you have in here the ability to take pictures of items or rooms. As you can see at the top, your camera icon is there. By touching the camera icon, what it does, if I hit OK here, it's going to gray out the sections that I'm not going to use. And then basically what it's prompting me to do is to select an item from my list to take a picture of. So if I select that refrigerator, I can hit Take New Picture. Same principle as before. I go ahead and snap a photo of that item, hit Use Photo, and then that photo is then associated with that item on my inventory list. Also, once I hit Done, I can repeat the process and really do the same thing for the rooms, hitting the camera icon next to the rooms. Same principle, I select the room that I want to snap a picture of, hit Take New Picture, and repeat the process. When you're done, just hit Done. So that covers all the basic functionality of the inventory list. I'm going to do another video that covers a little bit more in-depth functionality and some of the extra bells and whistles that we have in here. So if you've already gone ahead and watched this video and are comfortable with the basic functionality, go ahead and proceed on to the next video.